All right, so checkpoint 13. So our first question here says that Jackson, Monica, and Franklin are siblings. Monica's age is 1/2 of Jackson's age, and Franklin's age is 2/3 of Jackson's age. The sum of all their ages is 36. So one thing to remember when you are writing an equation from a word problem, anytime you're given a total, your total will always go by itself. Okay, so the total will always be on one side of your equal sign. So since 36 is the sum of their ages, right? All three of their ages will add up to 36. That means 36 is my total. So 36 must go on one side of the equal sign by itself, which is why this option here, we're not going to choose. Okay. Now, I don't know how old Jackson is, but I can represent his age with a variable, right? And it looks like here they're going to use J for Jackson. So J is however old Jackson is. Now it says that Monica is 1/2 of Jackson's age. So if I wanted to add 1/2 of Jackson's age, I would have 1/2 J. And Franklin's age is 2/3 of Jackson's age. So J plus 1/2 J plus 2/3 J. Now also keep in mind, I'm adding together 3 of the siblings, right? So I have 1, 2, 3 people I'm adding together for their ages. So I should have 3 things I'm adding together. So this top one can't be it, which means I would want to pick this one here because this is the only one that has the 1/2 and the 2/3. Okay, Tyler, when this recording is ready, I'm going to upload it in the course, so you'll be able to see it then. All right. Are there any questions on this first question, or are we okay to move on? I know Chelsea's good. Are the rest of us okay? And Angeli, this is checkpoint 13 in case you missed that first part. Alrighty, next problem. So here, this is very similar to what we were just doing in our live session, right? We have this whole problem here, and we're given this equation, and we need to solve it. So let's use what we just learned to try and solve this equation. So I have 1.29 times 4 plus 0.9x equals $9.11. So I'm going to actually pull open Desmos to help us with this because we're dealing with decimals. Now, I can multiply these two decimals first before I do anything, right? Because if I multiply these two numbers together, I'll get another simplified number. So if I have 1.29 times 4, that gives me 5.16 plus 0.79x equals 9.11, right? So now if I were to draw my line, look at my left and my right side, my left side has my variable, but my variable isn't first, right? My variable is second. So I'm still working furthest away from it. So I'm going to try and get rid of this 5.16. Now, 5.16, there's no plus or minus sign in front of it, right? Because it's the first number. But is 5.16 a positive number or a negative number? 5.16. Do you guys think it's positive or negative? Positive, right? Because, well, there's no negative sign in front of it, so it has to be positive. So it's the opposite of a positive number. What would be the opposite of a positive? Be a negative, right? So instead of having 5.16. The opposite of that would be negative 5.16. You could also think about this as just subtraction, right? If I have 5.16 minus 5.16, I would just be subtracting them. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So these two are going to cancel and go away. And then I am left with 0.79x, and that is equal to, let's do our subtraction. So $9.11 minus $5.16 gives me $3.95. So now to undo this multiplication here, I have 0.79 times x is equal to 3.95. So what am I dividing by here? What number would I want to divide by? Remember, I'm trying to get x by itself. So 0.79, perfect. So these will go away. I'm left with just x. Now remember here, I know I'm dividing, so I'm going to use my calculator to do the math for me because I have all those pesky fractions, which tells me that I have 5. So x is equal to 5. So in our blank here, we would put a 5 for 5 pounds of oranges. Yes, I should hopefully still have it. I do. You're very welcome, Angeli. Thank you for coming in. All right, are we good to go on to the next one, guys? Alrighty, next problem, number 3. Might be different for you, though. It's probably in a different order. All right, Mickey goes on jogs every morning. In which of the following situations does Mickey jog a combined total of 5 miles from Monday and Tuesday? So we need to figure out which one of these gives us a combined mileage of 5 miles. I think for sake of time, this one still isn't loaded. For sake of time on this one, I just want to give you guys the answer to it. So give me 1 second. Pretty much what all you would do is just add all of these together. But I feel like it takes a while to do that. So on this one, you're going to select you're going to select 3 options. You are not selecting the one that says 3.5 and 1.5. So you're selecting these 3 I have highlighted here. So you are not selecting the one that says 3 and 1/2. And then Kira and Chelsea, let me know when you are ready. All right, number 4. This is that Giovanna makes $11.25 per hour at her part-time job. During 1 week, she also earned $30 in tip money. Her final pay for the week was $159.50. Which answer gives the best estimate for the number of hours that she worked? So there's a few different ways you can go about this. You can either create an equation or you can guess and check here. Now, these answer choices are the number of hours that she worked, right? So if you wanted to work backwards and do guess and check, if I were to take the number of hours that I worked, so like in that first answer choice, I had 22. If I were to multiply that by how much Giovanna makes per hour, which is $11.25, I take 22 times $11.25, This would tell me that she would make $247.50. And if we look at our answer choices, or the answer that for how much she earned $159.50. So this is way too much money, right? So it can't be 22. So it's not 22. So let's check the next one, which is 12. So if she worked 12 hours at $11.25 for each hour, she would make $135. So that's good, right? Because it's not exactly this, but it's close. Now, if you were to earn money in tips, is that money that you get to keep, or is that money that you have to pay someone? Like if you're a waitress, if you tip someone, or if someone gives you money, that's money you get to keep, right? So when you earn tips, that's money that's being added to how much you earned. So I would do 135 and add in my tips to give me $165. And this 165 is pretty close to this $160. So she would work around 12 hours to earn $160. She does not work very often, no. It is a part-time though, so she probably has school, so she can't work very many hours. Alrighty, number 5. Number 5. All right, Grant is reading a book for an assignment that is due in 2 weeks. Okay, so it's due in 2 weeks. And there's 455 total pages, and he's already read 9 of the pages. But now we want to know which equation represents the total number of pages he needs to read each day. So this question is tricky for a few things. I want to know how many pages he needs to read each day, right? And I know he has 2 weeks to finish the book. So I'm given 2 different values for time. I'm given weeks, but I need my answer to be in days. So if I have 2 weeks to read this book, how many days are in those 2 weeks? 14, right? Because each week has 7 days. So I have a total of 14 days to read this book. Now, if I want to know how many pages I need to read for each one day, I would put 1 over 14, right? Because the 14 is the total number of days that I have to read it. And this 1 represents each day that's going by. Okay, so that means I'm going to be looking at this and these 2 with my 1 over 14. Now he's already read 9 pages, right? So I can take 9 pages away from the total length of my book, because if I've already read 9 pages, I don't need to go back and reread those. So if I do 445 minus 9, and I multiply that by 1 over 14, that will give me X, which is the total number of pages I need to read each day. So for this one here, I would have 1 over 14 times 445 minus 9 X. So this would be the equation that I'd want to use. All right. Next one says that Yuri is shopping for new workout clothes. He picks up a shirt that is $10, 2 pairs of shorts that are $14. With a 10% sales tax, he estimates that the shirt is $1 and the tax for the shorts are $3. His total will be about $28. Is his estimate reasonable? One thing about these type of questions is that, actually, never mind, because it doesn't work here. Sorry. So he buys one shirt for $10 and two pairs of shorts for $14. Okay. And if I were to add up all of these together, 10 plus 14 plus 14 gives me 38, right? And he has to pay 10% sales tax, right? So I need to add in $3.80, which is what 10% of 38 is. So no, his estimate is not reasonable, probably because he forgot to remember his second pair of shorts, just like Kira said. So no, he just forgot to add in the second pair of shorts. Alrighty. Number 7. Robin saves up $204 and spends $32.50 on books. She wants to purchase more books from a sale where they cost $8.15 each. Which equation represents the situation? So, how much total money has Robin saved? Total money has Robin saved for this problem here? I guess, or you could think about it as how much money does she have? Robin has $204, right? This is her total. This is how much she can spend total, which means this 204 needs to be by itself. So I'm looking at these two down here. Now, notice how this one has 8.15 with X, and this bottom one has 3.25 with an X. The variable that gets your X attached to it is the one where you are buying multiple of that item. So she spent $32.50 on books, and we want to know how many more books she can buy that are all $8.15. So she's buying multiple books that are $8.15. So that means that my variable is going to be attached to my $8.15. Okay, because that $32.50, this she only spent one time. She only spent that amount once. But this $8.15, she's going to spend that multiple times. Okay, so writing equations from word problems it's not easy. It is tricky. You just kind of have to really read them carefully and make sure you're understanding what the question is asking. All right, number 8. Rhea is writing a paper, and she notices that she can write 1.5 pages every 2 hours. Think back to when we were writing proportions. If she reads 1.5 pages every 2 hours, how would I write that as a ratio with one number over another? 1.5 pages every 2 hours. How would I write that? Think about like if I drive 60 miles per hour, I would have 60 miles per 1 hour, right? So if she is writing 1.5 pages every 2 hours, what would my fraction look like? I would have what number over what number? 1.5 pages every 2 hours. Perfect, exactly. So when you look at these answer choices, there is only one problem that has this ratio. And remember that she has to write 6 total pages. So our total is always by itself, which means 6 should also be by itself. So I have that 1.5 over 2, and that's equal to 6. Yeah, I wish so too. She does write papers very fast. I take forever as well. So 1.5 over 2x is equal to 6. All right. Number 9. Robin, so here's the same question we had before, but we want to know how many books she can actually buy. So we can use that equation that we had before, 8.15x plus 3250 equals 204. Now remember, we can solve this equation using what we learned in our live session today, right, with my left and my right side. I want to do my subtraction first. So subtract 32.5 from both sides. This cancels away, and I can do my subtraction here. 204 minus 32.5, which is 171.5, and that's equal to 815x. To undo this multiplication, I can do division. This will go away, and I have 171.5 divided by 8.15, which gives me x is equal to 21.04. So she can buy around 21 books. She can buy around 21 books. And if we didn't have the equation for this one, you could go backwards and take the numbers, multiply it by 8.15. Don't forget to add in the 3250 and see which one gets you closest to 204. Okay. 10 for 10. A homeowner wishes to hang a picture in the middle of the kitchen wall and wants the center to be exactly 5 3/4 feet up from the floor. The dimensions of the picture and the wall are shown. Okay. Which of the following is true about the location of the picture? So I'm going to draw two rectangles for this problem because looking at this table, I'm confused just looking at it. So I want to see what's happening. So I have this wall, okay, and let's see, the wall has a width of 10 feet and 4 inches, and it has a height of 8 feet. Okay? And my picture is going to go somewhere in the middle, and my picture has a height of 28 inches and a width of 36 inches. Okay, so I know from my problem that my picture needs to be 5 3/4 feet above the floor. Right, so here is my floor, right? This bottom side is my floor. So that means between the floor and the bottom of my picture, this right here needs to be at least 5 3/4 feet. Now, this is tricky because we're dealing with feet and inches, right? Which makes it a little bit trickier to kind of think about. Let me read the answer choices here. See, it says that the left side and bottom and the top. All right, so we need to figure out how high this is off the floor. If it's 8 feet. So if I have 8, so sorry, let me explain what I'm doing in my brain. I know that my wall is 8 feet high, right? Because I have this, it's 8 feet high, and I know it needs to be 5 3/4 feet above the ground, right? So if I subtract 8 minus 5 3/4, I will get where my picture is above the ground. You can subtract your mixed numbers in Desmos. By 5, if you put a space after your 5, you can type in your 3/4 and it will give you your answer. So it's 2 1/4 feet from sorry, I'm trying to process the answer so I know where I'm going. Top of the picture is 2 feet and 3 inches from the ceiling. Let me double check the answer on this one. Yeah. Sorry. On this one, the answer is the left side of the picture is 3 feet and 8 inches from the left side of the wall. I really don't like this problem. There's so much happening. Do you guys want me to explain why that's the right answer, or are you okay with just moving on? Okay, I'll explain it. It won't take me long. So the reason why this is the correct answer is what you have to do here is go through each one of these options, look at the top, bottom, left, and the left sides. So if this is 5 3/4 feet above the ground, then that means that you have 2 1/4 feet above from right here. So from the picture up would be 2 1/4 feet. But what we're looking at is the left side, which is over here. So if my picture is dead center, right, this bottom is 10 feet and 4 inches. So if I were to cut my wall in half, half of 10 feet would be 5 feet. Half of 4 inches would be 2 inches. If I look at the bottom of my picture here, this bottom of my picture is 36 inches. So half of 36 is, if I divide this by 2, I get 18 inches. So if I were to take, I'm going to kind of come over here. If I were to take 5 feet, 2 inches, and subtract it from how long my picture is from the middle, which would be 18 inches, right? Because that's half of the bottom. To do this first, I'm going to change this all into inches. So 5 times 12, right? Because there's 12 inches in 1 foot would give me 60. Plus those 2 inches give me 62 inches minus 18 inches. And if I were to do 62 minus 18, I get 44. Whoops. Now to change this back into feet, because that's what our answer is in, if I take 44 and divide it by 12 now, so go backwards, I would get 3 total feet. So 3 total feet, and then I would have to take that 0.6 and multiply it by 12, which would give me the 3 feet and 8 inches from the wall. So this one there's a lot happening here. The good news is that you don't have one like this on your exam. So you don't have to worry about replicating this problem. This is definitely like an above and beyond type of problem here. So Kira, I don't know if that helped or maybe confused you more, but that's how you would go about it, or how you would get your answer. All right, number 11. Look at all these numbers. Grant is reading, oh, here's Grant with that book he was reading for his project. So we had our equation for this one, but I actually don't think we need to use it here. So if Grant's reading his book and he has those 2 weeks, right? It's 445 pages long, but he's already read 9 of the pages. What strategy can he use to best estimate the number of pages he needs to read each day? All right, let's see. So if I've already read 9 pages, I could round that to 10, right? Because 9 is very close to 10, and it's like I've read 10 pages. So if I were to round 9 to 10, and then I can subtract that 10 from the total number of pages that I've already read, which is that 445. And then remember how we said he had 14 days to read all of his pages? A more even number that's easier to work with than 14 would be this 15, right? If I round it up again, then if I can just divide from there. So take the total number of pages I need to read and divide it by how many days I have to get an estimate of about how many pages I need to read per day, which would be 29. If you could also do this by solving your equation, and you'd get close to 29, which would tell you that that would be your answer. Right, 12. This problem here, I'm just going to give you the answer to. And you select all 3 of these. Yeah, I know, right, Chelsea? What a trick. What a dirty trick. You never select all of them. No. I think when I was looking at this, I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh. What question is this? The last one was where you got to the end and it said, and 29 was your final answer. The last number that you read. So 29 was the last one. And then on 12, the one talking about the 1.625 cups, you select all 3 of those answers. Problems remind me of reverse psychology for some reason. Yeah, I know. Well, it's rough because normally there's one that's not right. So for them to put all 3 of them in there that are correct, it's not fair. I agree. Alrighty. Again, on this one, I'm not even going to read the scenario because all we need to do is just solve the equation. So I have 1.35x plus 3.25 times 3, and that's equal to 1650. So I'm going to first multiply this 3.25 times 3 to give me my numbers. 3.25 times 3. So I have 1.35x plus 9.75 equals 16.5. So now I can solve this, right, with my left and my right side. So subtract 9.75 from both sides. I get 1.35x, and that's equal to 16.5 minus 9.75, which gives me 6.75. Divide both sides. And that tells me my final answer, which is 5. So for this one here, your final answer would be 5. Dawson, Kira, are you okay? Should go to the next one. Dawson's good. Perfect. All right. Rhea's writing a paper and she notices she can write 1.25 pages every 2 hours. She estimates that she can finish the 6-page paper in 6 hours. Is her estimate correct or not correct? For this one, her 6-page paper in 6 hours, well, she writes 1.25 every 2 hours, right? So I would say no. Let me double check this one because the answer choices I'm reading, I don't agree with the reasoning. Interesting. So no, she's not correct because if you think about it, she's writing more than 1 page every 2 hours, right? So after 4 hours, she would write 2.5 pages. So it would take her longer than this 6. So she incorrectly rounded 1.25 to 2. Alrighty, 15. Giovanna makes, oh, here's the problem we were doing earlier where we worked backwards. Okay. Well, remember how anytime you have a problem and you have a number that is attached to a word like per or every, per or every are 2 key words that tell you that number is what gets attached to your variable. Okay. So Dawson is correct. Yes. Remember that your total always goes by itself. So 159.5 should go by itself. Your 30, the money you earn in tips, that's just a one-time thing, right? You're not earning $30 multiple times because your tips change every week. However, the number of hours that you work X gets multiplied by how much you make per hour. So 11.25x, right? Because that is the number that has per attached to it. You're adding in your $30 of tips, and that's equal to 159.5. All right, and that is the last one.